Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Hello Healing. I'm your host, Dr. Radisha, and you know how we roll. I don't roll solo. We got my two besties, therapists, Crescent Campbell and Shantoya Chapman, joining the conversation tonight. And I am so excited. How y'all doing tonight?
We are well, and highly favored.
I'm like, wait, y'all all right? Y'all well and highly okay, yes, amen.
Listen, we were just having a candid conversation about how mental health therapists, how, psychotherapists, we need our own mental health, we need our own
Right.
breaks, and just
Yes,
talking about we
yes,
love what we do, but sometimes what we do can just become a lot. And
yes,
we
Right,
were talking about self-care and what that looks like and what
right.
it looks like to have a realistic goal as far as seeing clients and when is enough and too much and all of that stuff. So it's been a week, but reminding ourselves and having this platform to remind ourselves that it's okay to kind of say no and put ourselves first is a
correct.
blessing. So
Right.
doing good,
Right.
Dr. Radisha.
Amen. Amen. And amen for sure. I am excited because we're going to be bringing to the couch a conversation that everybody's having. It's been making its rounds on social media. This
Mhm.
particular issue, lots of people have been talking about this article that's just blowing up the internet. And gospel singer Carrie Shepherd. She is a singer and actor. She played in the Lifetime movie Clark Sister, was based on her mom's, the Clark Sister group. She's also a gospel singer, but she just recently got married. Beautiful wedding. Oh my gosh, she looked like $1 million. But she's quoted as saying that her mama told her that, when she got a man, when she got married, to not allow her friends to spend the night over, to instead pay for a hotel room for them to stay the night instead of tempting her husband inside her home. So, lots of opinions on the subjects, and we wanted to get some therapist opinion on it and see what you guys think.
Who want to go first?
Shantoya, bring it to us, girl. You always got the word for us, girl. You know you be bringing us the word. Her
Well,
mama
well,
said, she said she don't care how good you trust them. But whatever, I'll be very mindful and careful about the women you let sleep in your house. Mm,
okay.
mm.
So I understand the message, right?
Mhm.
Because Kier, she's new in her marriage, and so the less distractions, the better the relationship can thrive and grow. So I can understand that. And one thing I love about Kiera and her mom, they have such an incredible bond, as well as,
Mhm.
they're both blessed with a gifted voice. So, I like that they have that type of open communication and dialogue. And I think that is needed in the community. We need more women who are seasoned when it
Mhm.
comes to marriages to,
Yes.
say, hey, let me take you to the side. Let me tell you about this journey, because marriage is definitely a journey that,
Right,
trying to prepare for it's something you have to just kind of leap into it and
yeah,
learn as you go. But it's good to hear from seasoned veterans, who have been in, the marriage game for, 20, 30 plus years, dropping nuggets. So I'm always the type of person listening to my elders, like, pour into me. Because at the
right,
end of the day, I still have the ability to decide how I move forward with the information. But,
right,
I'm not going to say that what her mom shared was, invalid. I'm not going to say that, or, incorrect. I'm not going to say that. And we don't know where, that thought process come from. It could be from her
right,
own experiences, what she has seen. Now, personally, with me as a married woman, I'm not going to have anybody in my social circle that I can't trust around my
Mhm.
husband.
at
So,
that right there.
yeah. So, the women that I have in my village, they have been with me for a while. So I am pretty confident that they wouldn't, cross any boundaries. So, I've had, especially like my sorority sisters, we definitely have a close bond. And so I've had a couple of them stay overnight at my house with my spouse. And I did not even feel uncomfortable, because I
Mhm.
trust. Because I had developed a relationship before my husband came into the picture. Now, they
Mhm.
did meet my spouse. Most of them did meet my spouse, once we started dating. So he has a relationship with them. He knows them too. And so, yeah, I've never felt that, like discomfort when it comes to, another woman that I'm familiar with and I'm comfortable with being around my spouse.
All right. That's a good point. I like your point about the closeness of the mother-daughter relationship, which is paramount, which is really important because that got missed in this conversation for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas, what you think, girl? You got to bring it. I'm ready for it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
ready for it.
So I automatically thought about, so she doesn't tempt him. It almost feels like when we victim blame, when a woman
Mm,
is sexually
Mm,
assaulted and we say it's your fault because you had something on. That's what I automatically thought about.
mhm.
Unfortunately, sometimes when we talk about infidelity, lust, and things like that, we put a lot of that responsibility on women.
Right.
And that's not
true.
that's not very fair. Even down to little girls, we'll tell them, oh, it's a man in the house, put shorts on. I mean, I'm sorry,
Right.
don't put shorts on, put long pants on or something like that.
Right.
Right.
That's a lot of weight to put on a woman. That was the first thing I
Yes.
thought about. The second thing I thought about is not only should you be careful about who you have around your man, but you should be careful about who comes into your household, period, right? Because
Exactly.
you don't want people to bring a particular spirit into your household. So
Mm,
in my mind, it's not just about the man, it's about my whole entire household. Because if my female friend is coming into my household and she could possibly impact my marriage, that's going to impact me as well, right? So, do
correct.
I even want this person in my household? And if that person has that kind of spirit, are they really a friend? And who am I to call
Exactly.
them a friend? Where is my mind set at, right? But then it also made me think about underneath it, is there a layer of insecurity where you feel like your friends have something
Right.
that you don't and your husband is
Right.
desiring?
Mhm.
Did your mother have
Mhm.
a layer of insecurity that she is
Mm,
now projecting onto you? Is she, I feel like there's some generational stuff there as well. While
go
it is a
ahead, Crescent.
beautiful thing to have a good relationship with your
Mhm.
mother and have that older person there, you gotta, as a friend said to me, you gotta chew the fish, but spit out the bones. Take what you
Mm,
need and
Mhm.
spit the rest out. While
Right.
that is applicable, my husband is also responsible for remaining in a certain state that honors our marriage, right? Because we both said
Right.
that we were going to
Mhm.
honor this marriage together. It's not just my responsibility. And if this friend is coming around, how is she going to support me in my marriage? If she's somebody that's going to be loose, does she even need to be a part of my life if
Right.
she's not going to support my marriage? If she's going
Right.
to be somebody that is going to purposely go out of her way to try to get my husband to do something, she was never really a friend to begin with. So I think it's a lot bigger than what was said. And of course, lots of times these articles are only quoted for certain purposes and we don't get
Right.
all the information. And I would have loved to be a fly on the wall, but that didn't really sit with me too well because from a therapist mindset, like I said, I felt like it was a lot of things that were underneath that underneath that comment.
Right. Right. When I saw the article, my immediate thought was this happened, right? This happened to someone in their
Mhm.
family line, mom, sister, cousin. This was an experience that someone had where they had a friend that violated their trust. And so that's the
Mhm.
story, that's the narrative that they have passed on from one generation to the next generation to the woman, and making it the woman's responsibility to ensure that your husband doesn't get tempted, right? As you mentioned, Crescens, she didn't make a vow to you, your husband did. And so it is your responsibility, you and your partner's responsibility to remain loyal to yourself. It also came across as if he was just a victim to whatever sweet thing coming through. He couldn't say no. Like
Mhm.
he just had
Mhm.
to say yeah. Like he wasn't in charge of his own faculties, his own abilities. Like it totally takes all responsibility off of him to remain faithful to his wife,
Yep.
right? And so my thoughts were this is a really tough um boundary to put in place because you're going to go to the grocery store, there's going to be women there. You're going to go to church, there ain't nothing but women at church. And she's a gospel singer, there's women everywhere, right? And so how, if you start putting these layers in place, you can't, this woman can't be around your husband, this woman can't be around your husband, then it can feel like prison. Like
Mhm.
where who's okay for me to spend time with, right? And
Right.
so my thoughts were that they really need to start working through this early on in the
Mhm.
relationship, and so that it doesn't, because it can start off as something pretty innocent. Over time,
Mhm.
what happens is, and especially with a lot of the couples I work with, I call it quiet resentment starts to build up. Like
Mm.
Mhm.
I said, okay, I didn't really fight when you started saying you can't spend time with this person, you can't spend time with that person, and don't go here, don't dress this way, don't do this thing. And but slowly over time, I start to build up this level of resentment towards my partner, that they're taking things away, taking away my power, taking away my relationships, taking away who I am authentically in myself. And it causes a really tough situation later in the relationship. Either a year later, 2 years later, then there's just big crisis when your partner doesn't recognize themselves, right? And so
Mhm.
certainly multiple layers to unpack here. We wish
Mhm.
her nothing but the best. But if that's you in your relationship and you already putting uh, limits
Mhm.
on who your partner can be around and who they can't, in terms of friends, right? I mean, we're not talking about exes or somebody they slept with, but your friends, right? So that's definitely a red flag that you need to explore for sure. Definitely a red flag,
Absolutely.
right? And so that's why we bring it to the couch so we can have a multi-layered discussion and different perspectives on the situation. And listen, if what we need you to do, if you're listening and gleaning from this conversation, go ahead and hit share on your screen. Just go ahead and get that. Put your drink down. Just go and put your drink, because I know you got a drink in your hand right now. Listen, I listen. It's been a long week. We get it. Put your drink down. Click the button for it. Hit the bell. Turn it, you can pick it right back up. I promise. Just put it down for a second and go into the computer or your phone, click share, like it, and hit the bell so you'll be notified when we come on next week. We really appreciate you guys' support. We appreciate you watching and sharing. We do this show for you guys, right? We are
Mhm.
all really busy people. We came on, we was dragging earlier. Y'all don't see the pre show. The pre-show is where the action happens. We come and drag and stuff. We like, Lord. Then we go live. We like, we gotta help these women. Listen, we be going through it. Listen, we be going through. I went through it this week. Listen, I went to the store. I went to the grocery store this week, and I went to the deli counter to get some boar's head meat, which is all organic, gluten free. You know, my kind of jam. And so I'm standing there waiting to be serviced. They really busy, so I'm patiently waiting. I'm super patient because I know everybody busy, everybody impatient. So I'm sitting there waiting to be serviced, and this lady comes up beside me, this Caucasian lady, also waiting to get service. So I'm standing there about 10 minutes. First of all, I'm hot. I got my wig on. I got my mask on. I got the bag in my hand. It's hot, and it's a lot happening, but I'm quiet. I'm just waiting my turn quietly, right? And so she comes up, and immediately the people behind the counter is like, ma'am, can I help you? Now, I've been standing there 10 minutes. Now, y'all know when I get excited, the Charleston come out. I've been standing there 10 minutes, patiently sweating my behind off, waiting on my turn. This Caucasian lady comes up. She's there maybe 30 minutes. They immediately stop what they're doing and says, ma'am, can I help you? So I say, excuse me, am I invisible? Like, what the, what what? I asked her. I said, "Excuse me, am I invisible? Can you guys see me standing here?" And so she says, "So the lady beside me, I'm hot, grease mad because I'm hot and I'm patient." And then this lady just comes up. All of a sudden, everybody stopping what they doing and it's like, "Ma'am, is anybody helping you?" See, this is what I'm saying. This is what we be going through in life as Black women. People don't
That's
understand.
true.
Non-Black people don't understand what we be going through.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I'm spending my money. Her
Correct.
money, they don't give her. We spending the same money,
Same money.
and they running the service. Her and I was just like,
Yeah.
"Am I invisible? Excuse me, like literally, am I invisible?" And she,
Mhm.
I thought somebody was helping me, ma'am. Don't you see me sweating this wig out? How somebody help me if I'm sweating this wig? Come on now, come on. Come on. I'm standing here 10 minutes sweating. How nobody helping me? And I'm patient. I ain't said nothing. I was like, y'all just when you get a chance, no problems, no problem. Now I got a problem because she just got here. Now all of a sudden everybody rushing to help her. I had to really process that thing because it triggered a whole lot inside me.
Of course.
And so full Charleston came out. I'm like, this is what I'm saying. This is the problem. I'm trying to educate them. I'm trying to provide some racial education about my experience, right? And now all of a sudden, everybody's scared. You know that look, you know that look of fright, right? And I'm not yelling. I'm being stern,
Correct.
assertive.
Yeah.
But I'm explaining my experience so that they understand what I'm going through.
Right.
And immediately the Caucasian lady that really just came up to get her stuff. It wasn't really her fault. She looks frightened. She starts apologizing. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Lady behind her. Oh my God. Look, I don't need anybody. I just need fairness. That's all.
Correct.
I ain't asking for nothing else. I ain't asking to jump the line. I ain't asking for a special drink. I'm just asking for fairness. And so that's what we deal with on an ongoing basis every day. And so it just gets to be a lot. And so we need spaces, safe spaces to be able to process these experiences with people that understand.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Very insightful.
I was mad for 2 days about the thing, but y'all, okay, we're gonna get to it.
You got your lunch meat?
Like, y'all, see, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is what's wrong with y'all. Right now, what I'm saying. Okay.
But you know what, Dr. Radisha, I'm glad that you are being transparent because people think that our lives are, are perfect. And it's like, no, we're not perfect. We're humans too. We have feelings, and sometimes, hey, someone can say something to trigger us. So, now we know how to calm down. We know how to go in our toolbox, right?
Right.
And say, okay, let me do some deep breathing.
I had to do some breathing. Yeah.
Let me do some imagery. Let me think of the beach with my toes in the sand because I don't want to go
off. I didn't go to the beach right then. I'm gonna be honest. I did not think of the beach right then. I was thinking about some stuff. My immediate thought was, I'm gonna jump behind this counter and cut my own meat. That's what I was thinking.
Don't do it. Don't.
And then all of a sudden, I'm behind the counter. Oh, it's a problem now, right? Everybody upset. What's happening? I'm gonna cut my own meat. That's what.
Don't do it. Don't do it, please.
I'm like, good Lord, people. I mean, it's just. This is the experience of the Black woman, right? And so it is not, I'm not alone in this process. I know all of us have different stories that we experience. And so just living through that day after day takes a toll on us.
It does.
That's why we need spaces like this to be able to process and talk about the realities of life, because it get hard some days. Correct. Some days it is hard, and you want to flip out, you want to cut your own meat in the deli department. You want to throw everything on the floor and say, now do y'all see it? But no, we take a different approach to it. We know we can't change people, although we are tempted to help them see the light. But we just take it one step at a time. That's just what it is. That's just life. Look, if y'all ever think our lives are perfect, you need to just follow me for a day. You're gonna be like, I think people just be trying me just cause. They just be trying me. Like, y'all, and then the Charleston come out, then you don't understand nothing I'm saying when I'm hyped. Right? You be like, what? And she's no, y'all gonna be then all the professionalism goes out the door. I'm still a work in progress. Thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
He's still working on all of us. And Stephanie,
yes,
I need y'all pray for me. Pray for me. That's all I ask as we go through it. All right. Tonight, y'all, I needed that little break. I just need to tell y'all what I be going through. So tonight we're going to be talking about relationship recovery after infidelity. This is a good topic. A lot of people going through this right now. Lots of people have experienced infidelity. It's probably one of the most common issues that brings couples into therapy, right? And so it is a real thing, and it's hard to know what to do when you've experienced infidelity in your relationship. So we're going to kick it off by starting off with, what are some specific actions that I can take after learning that my partner has been unfaithful? What you got, Creston?
I think one of the first things to do is not blame yourself. And I can only speak from a woman's standpoint because I'm a woman. Sometimes we try to figure out what did I do wrong, or where's the deficit in me, or am I the broken thing?
Mhm.
Again, because we put
Right.
so much pressure on women to hold the relationship. We're taught to be we as women are taught to be relational and pull
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
towards us, right? Whether it's a friendship, we're taught to be a part of these ships: friendship, relationship, family ship,
Mhm.
all of these things. So as women, because we have so much pressure on us to hold things together and got to keep a man and keep a household and be
Right.
emotionally available. And unfortunately, one of the things they teach in church, and I say unfortunately because I don't believe it, is you never tell your spouse no when your husband wants to have sex, and all these things, right? So we put a lot of blame on the woman. Don't put those shorts on if you have somebody. All of those things goes back to the Kiera Shear
Mhm.
thing. So don't blame yourself, and allow
Mhm.
yourself to feel the hurt that you feel. Don't try to
Right.
ignore it. Feel it,
Right.
and don't ignore it, and don't blame yourself.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Shantori, what do you recommend? You just learning for a woman that just finds out that their partner has been unfaithful.
Ooh, it's time to go into the prayer closet, okay?
Mm,
Uh, because
Follow
your
Jesus.
emotions are just haywire. I mean, because you're like, wait a minute, this man don't did what to me? Okay, let me go and process
Right.
this before I say something. Because I mean, we got to be honest. We don't want to have a wait and exhale moment when we going and throwing
Mm.
gasoline all on the man clothes. So we don't want to be too proactive. We don't want to allow
Right.
our emotions to lead us into situations that can be problems for us later. So I'm really prayer is going to be important, because you got to
Right.
say, how can I reason through this? And like I said, and
mhm,
don't blame myself for what has occurred, because I got to be in a mindset that I can be able to listen, because I want to know what he has to say. He has to tell
mhm.
me what happened, and I want details. You ain't gonna give me nothing broad, baby. You need to tell me the who, the what, the where, the how.
I need it all.
I need to know it. Cause ain't nobody been staying over here at this house. I ain't had none of my friends over here. So now, where you been getting your boo? Where you and your boo been meeting? God, I need to know.
Right. Right, right, right. Amen to that. Listen, as a woman that has experienced this in my relationship, that's with my ex-husband, which is why we got it, which is why I'm no longer. That's why he's my ex-husband. One of the first things is the shock. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're just in shock, right? And so part of it is just to react, trying to process it in that moment. It's just trying to process it in that moment. But what I always tell my friends, my clients, whomever that is experienced infidelity, the very first thing you need to do, the very first thing that I did once I learned of his infidelity, I made an appointment with my OBGYN, right?
Very
And
Mm,
I
good.
and I went. You gotta check your health because you out here being unfaithful. I don't know what protections you're using, if any,
Correct.
right?
mhm,
And so Black women are experiencing STDs at the highest rate, right? We are leading the pack for HIV, syphilis, and every other disease out there because of these situations with guys cheating and girls cheating and
Correct.
all of this. So you got to stay up on your physical health game for sure, right?
mhm,
The emotional stuff we're gonna work through. Make yourself an appointment, tell the doc. And it felt so embarrassing, tell it, because I had that doctor has been my doctor for years, like 20 years. And she's like, hey, what brings you in? And even when I made the appointment, I like made something up. I was like, oh, I'm having pain. They were like, pain where? In a leg. Like, I didn't want to tell them the reason I was coming is because I needed all these STD tests. And so I was like, yeah. And they was like, your leg. And I was like, yeah, my thigh area, And so when I get there, my doctor's like, hey, what's going on? You having pain in your thigh? It's very nondescript. And I was like, listen, this is what it is.
Yeah.
He
mhm,
cheating on me. And I'm boo-hoo crying. I'm like, I don't know if I got something. I don't know if he be using protection because, of course, he gonna lie to me right now because he gonna try to minimize the experience because they think immediately they want to protect you. And the way to protect your emotions is to minimize the infidelity. It was only one person. It wasn't that big. You know what I mean? It's just human
mhm,
instinct, right?
Right.
And so I need to be sure in black and white what's going on physically with myself. Well, before I make any decisions about the relationship or what happens there, let me see what I'm working with. That's the very first thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do is to be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because we blame ourselves for
Yeah.
everything going on with the world. We blame stuff ourselves for the kids, the significant others, everything happening in our life. We blame ourselves. Like you guys mentioned, do not take ownership of that. Like you said, Kristen, don't take ownership. It's because of something I did or something I
Yeah.
didn't do. Listen, if your partner's going to cheat, they're going to cheat regardless. No matter how many rules you have about your house,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how much you watch them, how much you cameras you put tracking. Like I have had couples to go to the extent of watching their partners all day long to ensure they don't cheat. But listen,
Yeah.
people are creative. They're creative. If
Yes,
they want to cheat, they're gonna find a way.
correct.
They're gonna find a way, right? And so that's where you need to start. There's a whole long road ahead to recovery, long road ahead. But that's where
Mm-hmm.
you need to start, in my opinion, checking out your physical health, checking to see if he brought anything back to you. If you currently pregnant, you need to know that. Like you need to have your facts. I need to get the facts on paper, right?
Yeah.
And then taking it step by step from there. Right.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a very hard thing. The thing is, couples can recover from infidelity. I have couples all the
Mm-hmm.
time that recover and do exceptionally well. I always say that it can be finding out about an infidelity can be the best thing that ever happened to your relationship because it breaks down the falsehoods and the lies, right? And so what you're
Mm-hmm.
left with is just two people either deciding that we're gonna work on this thing
Right.
or it's time for us to celebrate. You take all the BS out of the middle when you're dealing with a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can be the best thing to happen to you. And it sounds weird saying because it is usually very traumatic and very hurtful. But later, right, after you've processed and created something different in terms of your relationship, you could create something magical, right? And so what should you not do? Right? Because we talked about what we should do. What are the things we should not do once we learn about infidelity in our relationship?
I think what we shouldn't do when we find out about infidelity is try to problem solve. Oh, we talk about not blaming ourselves, but the
Mhm.
next thing we do when we try to blame ourselves is, okay, how can I fix it? How can I fix it? You don't need to worry about fixing the relationship. You need to focus inward and process
Mhm.
what you have going on. So in addition to calling that OBGYN, calling that therapist, not calling that friend, because our friends are our safe space, right? They're going to be protective. They're going to want to, girl, I'll be there in a minute. You call your mother, oh, I'm going to come over. Calling that neutral person that's a safe space to process that. Don't automatically go into problem solving. Go into how am I dealing with this? How am I feeling regarding this? Not saying his feelings aren't valid, but
Right.
those feelings don't matter in that moment. You need to focus on what
Right.
you need for yourself.
Right. Right. What'd you say, Shantoya?
Well, I think I was going to make a joke. I had don't go to jail because,
No, that's real. That's real
I
talk. I
mean,
promise you that's
because
real talk.
it's like, it kind of remind me of the Shirley Brown song, like Woman to Woman, like you calling a woman, like,
Right.
listen here, you know what I don't put into this man? I wash his clothes, I have his kids, and now here
Yeah.
you come trying to disrupt what we're trying
Hmm.
to build here. But
Right.
again, we also have to say, what about the man too? Because he also has some blame in this. He has to be accountable too. So I would say don't make any rash decisions
Hmm.
because that's so important. Because like I said, we in fight or flight during that time.
Right.
Because like I said, you have so much going on internal.
Right.
So it's like before I make a decision that I can't change, because once I make it, I can't change it.
Right.
Let me be clear. Am I making this off logic or is it emotions? So I
Right.
think that is very critical to make sure that you don't make it off emotions because eventually
Right.
your emotions, things going to change. It seems
Right.
like it's a fire, but eventually the fire it'll become a small blaze after a while.
Right.
Um, and one more thing I want to add is please don't share this information with too many people. especially your family, because see, they want to come over and they want to handle the situation for you. And then that can create problems if reconciliation is going to be something that, will be visited in the future. So, don't go calling your brother, getting everybody upset. Want to come over and handle. Oh, you need me to handle this? No. I don't need you putting no hands on anybody right now. Let us try to work this out, because there's a lot that's happening here. And also we got to think about, finance, especially when you're married, children, and there's children involved. So there's so much there. And Crystal kind of, said that, problem solving, that's something you may want to wait until the storm kind of has started to pass over, and you're not feeling the presence of it as much as you did when you first, received the information.
Right. And when you say don't go to jail, that's true. That's true right there. Now I ain't gonna lie, because listen, because I could tell y'all a story, but I ain't trying to go to jail because the statute of limitation has not run out. Listen, that's real. Listen, when you're in that moment, you're not thinking about nothing else other than the pain you in. And so it's so important to catch yourself.
Correct.
I remember one night I was talking to a friend of mine who's also a therapist, right? I'm blessed to know many great therapists that are friends of mine. I called her and I was like, listen, I figured it out. And she's like, what? I've been crying all day. I mean, the ugly cry, the stomach busting cry. And I said, you know what? I figured it out. And she was like, what did you figure out? I said, I just need to kill him. And I was like, I was like, I think if I murdered him, it would be okay. And she's like, okay, Radisha, let's process this a minute. But I was like, I'm telling you, when you are so in so much pain and crying and not eating, you could be borderline psychotic, like literally legit psychotic. But I remember calling her, and just as clear as day, and I said, my friend V, and she said, I said, I think if he wasn't breathing anymore, I would feel better. Like I was like, I think if he just stopped breathing, this would make things much better. And so she was kind enough to process it and help me understand what jail would be like, and how I didn't really want that, and how being in prison wasn't the best thing for me. Right. And so I was grateful for that experience, but I let me tell you, you had those moments. You had those moments when you're trying to figure out if you could do 20 to 25. Is it really worth it? Right? Is 20 to 25 worth it? You really, you calculating, how, it's real. It's real.
It is. The pain is real, like you said.
The other thing I would say that I tell all my couples, do not, and I repeat, do not post this on Facebook.
Yes.
No.
There may be a time when you tell the truth, right? There may be a time on the side of healing when you're able to tell your story, whatever the outcome.
Correct.
Please don't put this stuff on social media when you're hurting, because you're gonna tell all the business, you're gonna tell all the secrets, you're gonna be like, and then da 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 da, and it hurts your healing down the road.
Correct.
It does. Whatever you decide, whether or not you decide to reconcile or to separate and say this is it, irregardless, later on when you get perspective and clarity, you're going to regret doing it. Every couple, every woman, every guy sitting in front of me as a patient, as a client, every friend, 6 months, a year later, always say, man, I really wish I hadn't done that, but I was hurting and I wanted to get them back. I wanted the world to know there was a such and such hole and da and sleep with my best, they're putting it all out there. So don't do it. As much as you want to do that, don't do that, right? And don't call that friend that's down for the get down. Don't call Ray Ray and them. Call me on the burner, Phil. Call me on the burner. You making sure the life insurance together. Don't call Ray Ray and them. Keep that quiet. I know it's gonna be hard, but don't call Ray Ray that just got out of jail. Don't mind going back. Come to help you. Because everybody got a Ray Ray in their family.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Everybody got a Ray Ray. And if you're sitting there saying, no, it's probably you. You are probably Ray Ray. probably rated. I'm just saying, I love you, but you probably rated where we don't want to tell you too much because you kind of figured out, right? Getting the boys together to handle some stuff. So keep that in mind. Do not do the activities that we talked about, right? So because we're looking long term, right? As therapists, we're looking long term. We're not looking at what's happening right now.
Right.
And so because we understand that relationships can recover.
That's correct.
But you got to have these basic tools in place to kind of work through it.
Correct.
As you go through. So what are some tips? What are some tips to restoring the relationship in terms of what the couples that you guys work with?
I think reestablishing boundaries and expectations is essential, right? Talking about what those non-negotiables are. All right, in order for us to move forward, this is what I need. But also being raw and vulnerable enough to say, when you did this, I felt this way, right? Using those I feel statements and making it clear. And if you're making that decision to move forward and set those new boundaries and those non-negotiables, making a part of that also, do we bring this back up? Do we throw, how do we move forward with this as we go through reestablishing boundaries, those non-negotiables, and also getting the therapist in there because you need a neutral point of view to kind of referee everything.
Right, for sure.
Very
for
good.
Sure. Yeah, what'd you say, Shantoya?
Oh, Kristen stole my thunder. I was going to say, we be in sync here. But I want to add, you need that spiritual guidance. And, either that comes from your pastor that you have a relationship with, or it could be a married couple who have been through that season, of difficulty, because there are, like you said, there are couples that are thriving that had this occur. And, they have been able to, come back together, heal, grow, and their love is stronger, like I said, probably better than it was, prior to the situation. So I think that's important, having a couple that can mentor you, who can give you sound, doctrine and practices, spiritual guidance, like I say, from your pastor or, someone that, you look up to who can, give you some, information that's going to help with sustaining the relationship. Because like I say, you got to get to a place of forgiveness, which is so important. So that's key to really restoring the relationship. We have to get to a place where we forgive.
Right. Absolutely. I always tell my couples that I'm working with, the first step is radical honesty. Radical honesty. You have got to take responsibility for your actions, but you got to be honest in what led you to those actions, right? I wasn't feeling accepted. I wasn't feeling loved. I felt lonely. I felt that you didn't need me. I thought you was cheating. Whatever those steps were that led you down a path of infidelity, we've got to get really radically honest with each other so that we can heal.
Correct.
So that we prevent future infidelities from coming from reoccurring. And sometimes I prepare both partners, right, for the level of for what's to come with radical honesty. Because sometimes when you're hurting, you don't want to hear that maybe you weren't, being a good partner, right? You don't want to hear that you've been ignoring me. You don't talk to me. You don't spend time with me. You never want to do things with me. We haven't had sex in 3 months, right? We don't want to hear those things when we're hurting. But the reality is those things led up to the current situation. And no matter when you're dealing with infidelity, there's not a situation where it's just one person's fault. I get it. Even if you're not the person that had the good time, there are situations that you both attribute to having this experience in your relationship. And that's hard to hear, right? It's hard if you're the person, you're like, I ain't even did nothing. But as you heal, you realize that you contributed to it, either by ignoring certain behaviors, not addressing it, not speaking your truth, not telling how you really feel about situations. You've contributed to the breakdown of the partnership. And so radical honesty is going to be important, but you need a neutral party because we don't want y'all fighting and hitting each other, laying hands on each other. So, but Jesus, get the demon out of them, right? And so, when the hot water on them.
Or hot grits, right? Like with Al Green.
Throwing hot grits on them. Girl, do not throw that hot grits on them. Girl, you got 15. That's a solid 15 years right there. Don't do it. Right?
Don't do it.
We want to heat it up. Right. Don't do that. Don't do it. Go back from that. Right. We don't want it. We want it to be with a professional that doesn't know either one of you guys. That's going
Correct.
to take a neutral perspective to help you both heal
That's
as
right.
you navigate the relationship. And sometimes couples think that coming to couples counseling always means they stay together, right?
Right.
I explained that sometimes through this process we realize we this is not what we both want, and this is
Correct.
not in serving either one of us. And so part of that process is allows you to heal and get clarity on the relationship. And I always make all of my couples commit to not making any decisions in 90 days. When
Good.
you're heated and hot, you're gonna make a decision that you may not
Right.
want to do in a few months. So
Correct.
90 days is my minimum working with me. And so it's been really, really helpful because how you start out usually is not how you end up your final
And
decision in the process, right?
that's correct.
And so that's some tips and strategies as you guys are if you are dealing with infidelity, or if you got a friend, sister, cousin dealing with it, you can share that information. And
Yeah.
listen, if this has been helpful for you, do us a favor, go ahead and hit subscribe on whatever platform you're catching this episode on. Share it with your on your social media. Share it with your friends, have a conversation about it, because listen, as women, we go through a whole lot of mess that we
Mm-hmm.
don't feel comfortable sharing, right? We keep our secrets to ourselves, we keep our pain to ourselves. And in order for us to break that dynamic, in order for us to change, we gotta be willing to have the conversation. But then the
Exactly.
person hearing the conversation gotta be a safe place that don't go running and
Mm-hmm.
tell the whole family all our business, but really just
Yes.
keep that space to let us know we're okay being vulnerable. And that's what we need. And so, guys, we just need your help for us to continue this journey by hitting share, liking, and all that good stuff as we come every Thursday to share the message on healing and saying hello to
Yes.
healing for Black women. All right, so we're gonna shift gears a little bit. We're getting ready to spotlight a Black businesswoman. Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. Today we have Keys Sweets. So if you like some sweets, Keela Sims got it for you. She's the CEO of Keys Sweet, located in Aiken, South Carolina. She specializes in all things chocolate covered strawberries, my kind of girl, cakes,
Yes.
candy apple, fruit, and so much more. Check her out on Facebook or hitting her up on her telephone number 803-270-2634 or her website keysweet at icloud.com. That's sweets at icloud.com. Listen, sister, laying it out. I love
Mm-hmm.
me some chocolate strawberry covered strawberries. Listen, if you want me to have a good time about anything, go ahead and get me some chocolate covered strawberries. Listen, and things start happening. Let me tell you. So hit her up. Things start happening, girl. Listen, I can be so things happen, all kinds of things. So hit her up. You know, every week we spotlight a Black businesswoman. You know, we gotta support each other in this journey.
Indeed.
And we love supporting Black business women because they doing their thing. And
Yes.
so that's how we keep it in the community, help support the community and help grow. And so we as Black business women, everyone
Mm.
here understands the importance of having that support from the community. And so if you are a Black businesswoman and want your business highlighted, go ahead and head on over to our website, hellohealing.live. Hit up our producer Natalie and she'll get you popping. If you want to become a sponsor for the show, we love to hear you, love to learn about you. And listen, some of these businesses I've never heard about, but look, I'm making a list, I'm checking them out, and this is where I'm going. That's where I share my business. You like chocolate covered strawberries, Shantoria?
Oh yes, yes, I do, and I saw those images. I like, wow, she is gifted because that's a
Mm-hmm.
gift, and people
Right.
don't realize how you can take God-given gifts and turn them into a business. So because I'm not a baker. Huh, I can mess up cupcakes. Okay, you can't even give me a box cake. I mess it up. That's not my gift. I've
Okay.
come to terms. But that young lady there, that's her gift. And so
That's
it
right.
looked it very, very good. So yes, I
Right.
like
So
your
y'all gotta check her out. Check her
hmm
out. Listen, Here's the segment. If you got a question, drop it on in. It's the Hey Therapist segment where we take any questions, any and all questions. Take advantage of having 3 licensed therapists on deck right now to provide any information you need. We are here to support you. So if you have a question, go ahead and drop it. We appreciate your all of the comments. Oh, we got a guy up in here. I know this
All
guy.
right.
He just happens to be Natalie's amazing husband. Tony, we see you shining. We saw that ring you bought for Valentine's Day. Not to put your
Yes.
business on Front Street, but that thing is pretty shiny. Pretty shiny, Tony. Just
Not to
saying.
put it out there, but you put it out there.
Got people messing up people's relationships and everything.
Yes, because I'm gonna tell you, I was showing my husband. I showed my husband. You see this right here? You see her ring?
Tony messing up people's relationships on Valentine's Day. God, I say, boy, I need my glasses to look at that. What? That thing was shining. All right, Tony got a question. We love your question. Why do you think women forgive cheating more than men? Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good. All right, Crescent, what you think about that one? Why do women forgive cheating more than men?
I think for some reason we are just taught you keep your man. You do by any means necessary, right? So I'm gonna forgive you, or nobody else is gonna want me, especially if you're a woman that maybe has children, right? Oh, they look at me as a not an asset, but something that I lose my value, a liability. There we go, right? I lose I'm a liability, right? Nobody's gonna want a 45-year-old woman who was with a man. I'm washed up at this point. I'm used goods. We look at women as things, unfortunately, sometimes as objects we can kind of throw away, like we're disposable. And because we feel like we're disposable, we can't find anybody else. We'll stick in there, we'll hang in there, we'll take anything. They tell men you can have children up until you whatever that number is higher than women, right? So men can find something new, men can have children, they can keep going, whereas women, we just kind of stick in there because where else we gonna go? We got to change that narrative. You don't just stick in there because nobody else is gonna take you. It's better you can do good all by your damn self, excuse my French,
right?
So we don't have to stick around and continue to take those kind of things. If you don't feel comfortable, you're not getting what you need, if you're being violated, it's better to be alone than to be violated.
Right. Amen to that. Amen. What do you think, Shantoya?
I think the circumstances kind of determines, forgiveness and moving forward. So like, Crescent just said, sometimes it's our beliefs, how we see ourselves, special age. So we say, okay, I'm at this age now trying to get out here and date, because dating is difficult. I have some friends who are, newly divorced, and they're like, girl, let me tell you, it's rough out here in these streets. So
it's pee in that water.
It's pee in that pool.
So they're like, hey, and I think because once you're a seasoned woman, you already start eliminating like, nope, no, not going for that, because I see the red flags, like them little red flags that be putting on social media. I see them already, So it's like what we would, consider in our 20s and 30s. When you get in your 40s and 50s, like, no. That's a no-go. And so sometimes that causes us to eliminate, and then we don't have anybody left on the list. So I think sometimes age can be a factor. Also finances. Especially if the male spouse was, the financial provider. So if I, was a stay-at-home mom. And so now the idea of, whoa, I've been in this position for 20 years, and to give up this lifestyle that we have created, I'm not sure if I'm ready to, make that leap yet. It sounds good on paper, it looks good in the movies, but to do it, in reality, I don't know. Because, it's basically like you're starting over again. So it's like, okay, the house is in his name. I'm just giving examples. And then it's like, okay, so where did that leave me? So sometimes you have to think about, it's the finances, the age, like I said, children. What's the culture norm in our family? Is everybody married? So if I divorce, I'll be the oddball. People look at me differently.
Yeah.
So that's pressure.
It is a great deal of pressure. But I think, culturally we're taught that it is
Yeah.
okay for a man to cheat and for
Mhm.
and but the woman to stay faithful, that somehow it's a greater sin if the woman cheats versus the man. And I think as men are taught the same, right? And so part of it is we got to change the dialogue that we're having with our children to let them
Mhm.
know that it's not okay either way to be dishonest with your partner.
Correct.
And so, part of that is women's willingness to accept certain shortcomings in men, cheating, financial, whether or not they have jobs and all of that. And it's a shame because it hurts. It hurts. And we feel like we get in this hole that we're constantly trying to get out of.
Yeah.
And so part of the work that we need to do is that internal work to build up the self-confidence, the sense of self-worth, the sense of
Yeah.
value, regardless if you got a man or not. Like my grandma said, listen, you are a woman in your own right. You don't need nobody standing beside you to remind you you're a woman. Right. And
Mm.
so she taught me that. So when I had a situation, when I had a spouse that was disrespectful to me, hurting the relationship, it was an easier process for me to say no to versus if I had somebody telling me it's okay, it's not that big of a deal, men cheat, it's acceptable. So it's changing the conversation with our young girls, it's changing the conversation with our young boys so that we are changing the generations to come. And so, Tony, we appreciate that question. That's a good question. It came from a guy. All right, don't be having no ideas because you know where the bar you at.
That's the one you don't call. That's the
Yeah,
Ray
yeah,
Ray.
yeah. We won't call Ray Ray now. Like he just got out. He don't mind going back, Tony. But that's why we love him because he's such a nice guy. Him and
He
Natalie are one
is.
of my favorite couples. They are just a beautiful couple, and we love them. They are family to us, and so we just giving him a hard time. So we just want to remind you guys to please subscribe and share and like our episode. Because guess what, sis? No matter what you've been through, no matter how old you are, no matter whatever your relationship status, it is never too late to heal. We appreciate you guys tuning in and continue the conversation. Give us a thumbs up, comment below, and we will see you guys next week for another episode of Hello Healing Live. I'm your host, Dr. Radisha, with my two sidekicks, best dope therapist around, Crescent Campbell
Thank
and
you.
Shantoya Chapman, holding it down because that's how we do. We come as a crew, so don't
That's right.
step to us because we will gang you. No, I'm just kidding. We love
Gang,
y'all. No,
gang.
no, we will. Girl, the hood just came out. We will gang you, but we love y'all. We'll see y'all next week.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.